There is a word called disgruntled, and it does mean angry or dissatisfied. Not a word you often have to explain to people who work full-time for a living. They generally, at one point or another, will be disgruntled. So, comedians, of course, like to play along with language. That is a big thing we like to do. So could you be gruntled? You can. It is actually a word. It is, of course, the opposite of disgruntled. It means pleased or satisfied. And isn't that our ultimate objective? Now, I want to be a little bit careful here, because when a man approached Buddha and said, I want happiness, apparently the Buddha said, that is your problem. You cannot start with I want. Okay, this is making it very much about ego. We're not really supposed to aim directly for happiness. It's a byproduct. But it is tough to argue that we all want to be happy. This is our family at Buckingham Palace in 1985. So there I am with my mom and my dad, my two twin brothers. And like a lot of people in our generation, Asian and otherwise, I spend a lot of time thinking, what am I supposed to do with my life? Right? We go through this a lot of the time. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? And my mom said to me once, that is a huge privilege. You kids have a huge privilege. She said, we got to this country and we were focused on keeping our heads down and doing what we had to do. We were focused on our current meal, our current day of work, our current child, not the next of anything. And isn't this just an embodiment of what they say of staying in the moment? This is what they were forced to do. So since we started way up there on Maslow, it may be harder for us to find this happiness. But here is the but of our parents' generation. Our parents said that, they kept their heads down and they just did it. And I give them a lot of respect. Okay, my mom is still going strong. My dad passed away in May. That's been a really hard thing for our family this year. But it also, I think, helps, when you go through grief, if you lose somebody, this also stress tests this philosophy. Because if I looked at all this, I said, well, this is all BS after all. I don't believe in any of it. It actually makes me go, okay, some of these principles I believe in. I'm Hindu, I believe in faith, and whether you're Christian or Muslim or agnostic or anything, whatever your set of principles is, it gets tested during those times of loss and of grief. But the challenge for our parents' generation, with some exceptions, is they didn't do it. Their mental health wasn't always that good. They didn't address it. You've heard a lot about that in the last few days, of mental health, the saying we held it together. I don't know, sometimes that anger came out, that sadness came out, that disappointment came out. I don't know that they just did it and got all the way through it as healthily, if that's a word, as they could. Now add this to the fact, again, the water in which we're swimming, that your companies, all the companies here today and over the course of this week, you hire ambitious people. Right? We're here. We want more and bigger and faster and taller and stronger, and it's never feels like it's enough. I'm a diehard capitalist. I make no apologies for that. I think capitalism has created more wealth and lifted more people out of poverty than any force on earth. But one massive, massive, massive downside of capitalism is that it feeds on the human desire for more. We were just talking about this, bigger and stronger and faster and taller, and it has become the American way. You can never be content. Advertisers, I worked in advertising. I worked at Procter & Gamble in marketing. I started on the engineering side and product supply and went over to marketing, to the dark side. And American society, American advertisers do not want you to be happy, because how will they sell you anything, right? That's the whole thing. Keeping up with the Joneses is a cliche for a reason, and we're always looking up at what other people have. And that's the thing with this country that's different from a lot of other countries. Living in Cincinnati, anyone here from Cincinnati? Clap. Anyone? Okay, some Cincinnati folks, hooday. Some of my, hopefully, Bengals fans in the house, 1 and 4, I don't know, but we'll see where we go with that. But the thing is, you could live in Mason, Ohio, which is a very, great suburb, very high-end place. You could drive down I-71, you could go to the GO, and you could shop at Kenwood Town Center. In every single city across America is like this. You'll have your equivalents of the great suburb, the rich people's freeway, where the trains don't go over the streets, they go over bridges. That's how you know it's a rich suburb, Poor suburbs, it goes over the street. Otherwise it goes, the rich people, they don't have time to wait for the train, right? So it has to go under or over. It goes over your street, you're in a poor neighborhood. So that's how we live near a train, by the way. So I could say that in Burbank, and it does go right over the street. So you can go this way and go throughout your entire day, your entire week, your entire year without seeing anyone poor. It's true. We're very isolated in this country. My parents would say that ever since I came from India. We're isolated. I didn't know what that meant, because in India, it is not like that at all. It is not like that because everybody is together. A lot of countries in Asia are like this as well. I always like to say countries in Asia are like if you take all 3 Back to the Future movies and you jam them into one TikTok. because you were simultaneously in the future, in the past, and the Wild West all at the same time. All right, because you will see next year's model of electric Range Rover driving down a dirt road in Mumbai trying to avoid hitting stray cows. I'm not making that up. That is true. That is not an exaggeration for comedic effect. You will have to live with people who are different from you, and it's easy then to go, oh my gosh, my life is hard, but it's not that hard, right? There's a comparative factor that exists in Asia that I feel does not happen here in many suburbs, not all suburbs, but a lot of suburbs in America. That actually leads me directly to the fourth tip, which is manage your energy. This is a big one. People forget this a lot because we're used to considering money and time as resources. I live in LA, I go to San Francisco a lot, and it's always this big conundrum. Do I drive or do I fly? And everybody does the math, they look at the gas prices, they look at how much the ticket costs, they look at the time, they look at the traffic, but they don't think about how they'll feel when they get there, right? If you drive, which I've made that drive many times, you might be exhausted by the time you get there. That's energy. That's an important part of it because people will oftentimes talk about a straight shot, you know, because they'll say that, oh, LA to San Francisco, it's a straight shot. I'm like, well, the moon is a straight shot. That doesn't mean it's close. It's really far away. What do you mean a straight shot? But as I've gotten older, I realize what that means. There are fewer turns. There's less you have to think about. You just shoot up the five, because I live in LA, so I won't say five, the five, and then you'll realize that, okay, I know what people mean now. So that is all part of the energy. And also manage your energy by replenishing. That's what I was talking about our parents' generation. They oftentimes did not take breaks. They really valued the fact that they could work for hours and hours and hours. But you probably heard the story of some, what is it, the two people who are chopping wood and somebody's chopping for like 10 hours and the other person chopped for maybe 6. But she chopped way more wood than the person over here. Why? Because she sharpened the saw. Right? She would go and she would sharpen the saw. That's what relaxation time is. That's what vacation time is. One of my brothers, one of the ones I showed you there, Vikas, he's a VP of Heineken in New York City, so he has a lot of fun. And he has a theory on this, not just a theory, a practice on this. He always has his next vacation booked. Even if it's 6 months out, he loves having it on his calendar. He put the money down, it makes it real.